Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Phillies Unfiltered. I'm Jim Russo along with Brent Tracy. Brent, how you doing today?
Pretty good, Jim. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Quick question for you. Do you give the ball back to that lady? You know what? Let's ask the kids first.
Let's do it.
So I'm here with Noah, and I'm here to ask you, Noah, what would you do if an angry lady came and stole a home run ball from you?
So, I wouldn't be doing what that dad did. He just willingly gave it to him. No, or her. Sorry. No. I'd be taking that lady to court. I'd be suing her. Yeah.
Noah's taking the civil approach. So that's a good one.
I'm here with Calder, Emerson, and Breyer, and I'm going to ask them a question for Kids Corner. So, Calder, if you were at a baseball game and I got a ball for you and I handed it to you and someone came over and said, I want that ball, that's my ball, what would you do?
Either I would cry, or if that wouldn't work, then I would tell you kindly to tell them to go back to their seats.
Okay, good answer. And Emerson, same question. If you were at a baseball game and I got a ball for you and someone came over and said, that's my ball, I want that ball, what would you do?
Run away.
Okay, run away. And Breyer, if you were at a game and someone came over and said, I want that ball, that's my ball, what would you say?
Kick the ball.
She would kick the ball. Okay, well, there you have it.
All right. And we're back. Quite the takes from those kids, isn't it? That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
They're wild imaginations.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you the same question, Brent. Do you give the ball back? Or not really giving it back. You're just, do you let her have it?
Right. It's giving it back's really not the question. It's do you let her have it? Because he rightfully won the scrum for the ball, and no. I was talking to Bridget about this. I talked to a couple people about it since it happened, and I've been asked the question as a dad, and I'm sure you have too. No, I would not have given it back. I would have probably said, no, I got the ball, and you didn't have it. And I didn't take it from you. I got it off the ground. I'm giving it to my kid, and it was his kid's birthday too. So it was just like, if she wouldn't have left me alone at that point, I would have called for an attendant to come and just like, she's harassing us. Can you please remove her? I would have tried. I wouldn't have raised my voice, but I would have been, firm. I'd have been like, no, I'm not giving it to you. You don't have any. You're not entitled to it. I got it.
Rightfully
that
yours.
Would have been it. But,
yeah.
So what about you?
I mean, I hate confrontation. So that's where it gets tricky. Like, as I don't know how I would respond in the moment. Like I know thinking about it, I wouldn't give it back. But in the moment, I probably would have folded in the moment because I just don't appreciate that kind of interaction. And it may have escalated to something even worse for all we know.
Well, the dad, I mean, did that basically. He didn't want to give it back, but you could see he was kind of probably like you, very uncomfortable with that whole thing. She was right in his face. I mean, well, it was more the surprise. I think he turned around and he was like, "Geez,
she's there. Who's this?"
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, she's lost her job. She has turned in over. It was literally overnight. It was like 12 hours. By the next morning, she was one of the most hated people in the country, not just in Philly, the country for that.
For better or for worse, the internet is quite an amazing thing. Like, it's just, I mean, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's all over this stuff. I saw something where
But you know what?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
No, go
I
ahead.
saw something where this lady was in the face of an Eagles fan during the game. And, I talked to Ashley about it a couple times, and she mentioned that she would be less kind, use some words that I cannot say on this podcast, and then tell her to go sit down.
Yeah, my wife too. Yeah, probably.
But I want to give a shout out to the Marlins. That was class act by having someone bring a whole bunch of goodies to them, and then of course the Phillies and getting to meet getting to meet Bader and down in the clubhouse and get
Right.
a signed bat and a couple balls too. That's cool. Like a good move by them. And it's a shame that it happened.
Yeah.
It's,
The kid made out. The kid made
Yeah,
out
he
really
did.
well
I mean,
with it.
I'm hearing like this.
I mean, and I don't know that the dad could have known that in the moment, but
Right.
it really was a good. Ultimately, first of all, he showed his kid, some things aren't worth getting into it with people over.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think that was good. I like the, it's a baseball, right?
Yeah.
It's not worth getting into a confrontation where somebody might get hurt or whatever. I get that. I can't say I would have done it that way because I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have dug my heels in and been on principle like, look, no, I'm not. I wouldn't have started a fight over it, but I wouldn't have given it to her probably, right?
Right.
And he did, and ultimately because of that. And what everybody saw, because it was everywhere, as you pointed out, the internet, and just everybody knew what had happened. He got to meet Harrison
Right.
Bader, and Bader seems like a legitimately cool dude.
He does.
So I think that was probably a cool experience. He got a signed bat, got some balls, and probably got to meet a couple other people back there walking through the. I'm sure you
Right.
got to see some behind the scenes stuff. So. It all's well that ends well, basically, is what it is. But for her, that's just a bad look.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
Very.
really made her look bad, and there was other angles of it
Yes.
too. People taking cell phone
How quick-
footage of it.
Conveniently fast how some of these are. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you don't question legitimacy, do you? But you never know.
No, I think it's pretty verified at this point that happened. The way,
but it's a crazy world out there. Be careful, folks.
yeah, yes,
But let's get to the team itself.
let's do it.
It's been, we're used to this whole Jekyll and Hyde thing, aren't we? So we had a week off, with the holiday and some other things going on in our lives. So we're recapping 2 weeks of baseball. And over those 2 weeks, the Phils were 7-6. They got embarrassed by the Mets. That's one way to put it, right? They demolished the Braves for win one game, and then won a couple more in that series, and then
they grinded them
Yes,
out, the others. But they got the win. In the
they
series,
found ways to win those games, and then hard fought series against the Brewers, and they took 2 or 3 there, and took 2 or 3 from the Marlins. Like today was even winnable. Well, we're recording on Sunday. Today was
almost.
winnable. One bad inning. But
Yep.
I'd like to talk about these 2 weeks. We had one of the greatest performances that we've ever seen in a baseball game by young Kyle Schwarber hitting 4 home runs in a game against the Atlanta Braves. How epic was that?
Yeah. I mean, that was amazing to watch. He was just it seemed like every time he was putting his bat on the ball, it was flying out of the ballpark. Yeah. I mean, that was, he had an opposite field one that he barely seemed to hit. It just was like one of those nights where it was just every time he touched the ball, it was a home run. And he one-handed
Yes,
that,
I was about to say he
basically,
one-handed that.
kind of like he was just, it was just like he was just trying to get a piece of the ball, but I don't think he even thought he was going to get that much of it. But that was great. And then, of course, the moonshots he hit to, right field all night. That was just... it was great. I mean, and he had a chance at 5, and then his teammates were giving him, especially, it's funny enough, JT, who is rather straight-laced, but, he was kind of razzing him he's like, because he booed him for popping out to the position player, which was great. It was like, But no, that was really cool to see. I showed Calder the replay of the highlights the next day, like all 4 home runs. Like it was like all the full at bats of each home run, right? Like and that was pretty cool to see too. But I mean, funny enough though, he's
been terrible since.
That was and before that, even the week or so before that, he was very quiet. So that was huge.
Yeah.
That was a historic night, as you pointed out. But outside of that, Kyle's been pretty quiet the last 3 or so weeks.
A couple days ago, I asked Ashley, when's the last time Kyle's put it in play? And it was either a strikeout or a walk. But I want to go.
He's had some hits lately.
Yeah, he has. He's starting to hit the ball now. He had an RBI today, and it could have turned around into a big explosion of an inning, but unfortunately, it did not.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the embarrassment and the embarrassing moments over the past 2 weeks. First, the Mets.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Awful.
It was just terrible. I got nothing besides
it was awful. I'm tired of the excuses of like, like, well, we're not that good of a road team or that ballpark, whatever. I don't want to hear that. I mean, you got to find a way to play the game. Like it's one thing if they're going to play you tough, and they are. They're a good team and they're a division rival, so it is going to be a tough matchup every time you play against them, and that's fine. But they didn't show up in those games. The first game, I think we were up 3-0 at the start of it, and it was looking good. You and I were texting. It's like, oh, they look good tonight. They're putting the batter on the ball, and all of a sudden, talking to Jekyll and Hyde, it flipped on it completely 180, and it was like the rest of the game and the rest of the series, they did not show up to play baseball, and that just infuriates me when they do that.
From the fourth inning of the first,
nobody was
from the fourth inning of the first game on, it was all Mets. I'm looking at the score. It was 13-3 the first game. The Mets scored 4-3. Oh, I'm sorry. 3-1, 2, 4, 3. And that's 4 through 8 in that game. That can't happen. They didn't come to play, and it showed, and they were embarrassed. And I was pleading for them not to get swept, and of course that's what happened. I try to plead for them to sweep a team. Doesn't happen. So, I mean, it's hard to sweep a team in Major League Baseball, but it still happens. Total embarrassment. But they came back home, and it seems like that's where they needed to be in those first 3 games against the Braves. We saw an offensive explosion there. Go ahead.
Yeah, that first game was incredible. Obviously, it wasn't just Schwarber. I mean, everybody was hitting. It was great. And I agree. That seemed like it was turning around, but the rest of the series was kind of frustrating to watch, even though we won the games. Yeah. Like I get it. Again, it's a divisional rivalry, even if the Braves aren't the team that they have been in past years. But that they made it harder than it had to be. They left guys on base. They just were going. You and I talk about this all the time. It's the lazy at bats, the sleepy at bats, where they're just kind of going through the motions, not really putting up good ABs, not really taking good swings, bad pitch selection, all of these things, and they were doing that throughout that series after the first game. Fortunately, their pitching was good enough that they kept the Braves off the board, including like the bullpen and stuff. Yes. That they were able to get enough to win 3 out of the 4 games. And that's, we're talking about, this was still August at the time. It was August baseball. It's the dog days of August, as they call it, right? It's hot. It's deep into the season. I get it, but you're a aspiring World Series team. You got to be able to play sharp baseball more consistently. And I did not feel great going into that Brewers series, even though we had come off the 3 out of 4, but I didn't feel great going in because the Brewers, I mean, since really the quarter mark of the season, they've been the best team in baseball when you think about it. And but the Phillies showed up for that.
They really did.
They showed up, and it had a playoff atmosphere to it. It felt like it was a playoff series. You felt the intensity. You felt the tension in every at bat and all the matchups. And we could talk more about it, but I think you and I said the biggest thing that came from that wasn't just that we won the series, which was big, and we did. We took 2 out of 3. The biggest thing is that it showed the Phillies they can play with them.
Yes, they can.
That they can match up with them. They can go to Milwaukee and they can play against them. Those are the huge takeaways from that series, is that you guys can stay with these guys. You can beat these guys if you play your game. And that was a big takeaway.
I realized they don't scare me that much. Their starting pitching is very good. I'll give them that. But once we got to that bullpen, we were able to beat up on them. And that's not saying they're bad. They have a pretty decent bullpen, and we were getting to those guys. We were working at bats. They were driving the ball against these guys and scoring big runs and big moments. So that's a really good sign there. And then leading into the Miami series, they looked really good on Friday and Saturday, and today it just had one bad inning.
And like you said, they almost pulled it out. I mean, they were creeping back. They were getting close. And one swing somewhere in there, and you could steal that one too. So can't be too mad about it though.
Right.
Taking 2 out of 3, and it is what it is. It's 3 straight series wins. They're big this time.
But the big factor in all of these games that they're losing is it's one bad inning. The game they lost against the Braves was one bad inning. It was, Kirkering couldn't find the zone. Alvarado let up the home run. I mean, and I guess it was a little bit more than one inning, but it was Alvarado's inning that was terrible. And I was at that game and on that Sunday, and it was depressing. I was like, oh, it looked really good, and next thing you know, wasted a great appearance by Luzardo.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes to. I mean, and yes, Alvarado did give up the home run, but the big issue with this team, and I've been saying it for a while, whether they succeed in the playoffs or fail, it's going to come down to the offense. It's going to come down to the hitters. Do they hit the ball consistently enough when the postseason arrives? If they do, they're going to do really well. If they don't, it's going to be an early exit. It's a very simple formula. It's not a mystery. There's not a lot of moving parts there. It's very simple. Hit the baseball, you're going to give your chance to win the games. If you don't, you're going to lose, especially when you get to the playoffs, because those teams aren't going to be easy to come back against. If you get into a 5-6-0 hole because you decide your offense doesn't want to wake up till the 7th or 8th inning, that's not going to fly in the playoffs. Those teams are going to shut you down, and you're going to be done.
And within the next couple weeks, these last few weeks of the season, they have some pretty high quality matchups. They have the Mets, they have the Dodgers, and the Diamondbacks aren't slouches either. So
no,
this could lead them going into the playoffs on a high. Like that's what we're looking for, or it could be an extreme low, and that's what we really do not want. Like they're finishing the year against the Marlins and the Twins at home, so you go in, you're gonna hopefully feel really good after those series, and go in with some positivity and hopefully driving the ball everywhere. But we have some more to talk about. During these 2 weeks, we had some duds and we had some studs. Where are you going with studs?
Man, it's such a stretch too of time that we're talking about. Yes. I mean, I can't not say Trey Turner.
Okay.
I mean, despite we're talking on Sunday here, he just we know he just tweaked his hamstring, and that's been a nagging kind of an issue for him. I mean, it's not a continued thing, but I think he's susceptible to it, and it clearly got tweaked today. But I mean, the guy has been leading the league in hits and batting average for a good chunk of the season, and of late, he's been in a league of his own. I mean, hitting the ball the other way, he's not trying to do too much. He's keeping it very simple, short strokes to the ball. He's not trying to, hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's just hitting it where it's pitched, and it's great. I mean, how many singles has he had through the right side of the diamond? The pat between second and first base. But yeah, with like 2 outs to keep an inning alive, and then we get something out of it, or he's the one that brings the run in, whatever it is. But he, as you said this to me, and I think it was, or maybe you said it on the podcast already, but I think it was a great way to put it. This is the Trey Turner we paid for.
It is.
That's a great way to put it, because he's hitting the ball, and until today he was a very dangerous runner too. I mean, he was stealing bases, he was scoring on any kind of double, he was scoring from first base, no problem. And again, I gotta, I'll give him credit. He's been great defensively. He wasn't great early in the year. He was making a lot of mistakes, but he figured out a way to turn it around and not just be okay. He's been very, very effective, and he's gotten to some really tough balls and made some great plays on them. So I give him a lot of credit, and he kind of crept his way into the MVP conversation, because I mean, it's kind of weird because the batting average has been up there all year, and he's been among the league leaders in hits all year. But Schwarber and Ohtani have been just kind of dominating the MVP talk for a good chunk of the year, rightfully so. But Trey's been steady, and he kind of, with Kyle's kind of slumped the last 2 or 3 weeks, and Trey going the opposite direction, it's made it more interesting, the conversation.
And I only subtly mentioned it to you. Like, when do we start talking about throwing his name in MVP conversation? Right. And I put it even on the Twitter, the poll, and I put a poll out there as soon as I put it out there, Schwarber hit a home run. But it was 71% yes, it's too early to talk about it. But I think that number would have changed if I reposted that. So I think that's a good choice. I mean, defensively, he's been much improved compared to the last couple of years. He's placing the ball perfectly. He's putting the ball on the right side in the hole. Getting huge hits. Like even his walk-off hit was to the right side. Like I couldn't be happier with what he's doing. He's going to have those happy accident home runs at this point. Like I don't need home runs from him. He's acting like the prototypical leadoff hitter. He's getting on base and he's stealing bags. I really hope this injury isn't something that's going to linger. And I really don't need an IL stint where we're seeing Edmundo every day. I love Edmundo, but I don't need him every day.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens there. But for my stud, how huge is this addition? Harrison Bader.
Yeah, I thought about him too, but I mean, awesome.
Like he's what he did against the Brewers.
The robbing of the home runs, the hits. I mean
he's robbed a couple home runs since he's been here. He's driving the ball. He's getting on base. And he's got some electricity. And it's
the energy level's insane. It's Marsh level energy. I mean, I love the two of them in that clubhouse for energy.
We're going to get to that.
Nothing else.
But I'm very, very pleased. I'm actually very surprised. Like one of my buddies was telling me like he was one of the better choices that they could have had. They weren't going to get Stephen Kwan, and Harrison Bader might have been the best option all around, and he's honestly shown it. I am not in the least disappointed. I think Dave Dombrowski did a great job. That
was a steal
at this point. Like that, he traded 4 prospects for Duran and Bader.
And none of them were top tier prospects. No. It was a great trade deadline right now. You can't give. I mean, and just to your, with Bader, he's exceeded every expectation. I think even Dombrowski probably had about him because he's been playing. I mean, the defense is great. He already knows how to read the center field dimensions at Citizens Bank Park, which is a really hard center field to play with all those angles. He is, and he's athletic. I love that little spider kind of walk he does when he's
crab walk.
Because when he does that, when he does that, that he's going to catch the ball. Like that's the sign. It's like, okay, he's under it, and the broadcasters even do that now. They're like, he's doing his little sidewinder walk, and it looks like he's got it.
Yeah, they were doing their interview. Like they were calling, they call you the crab or something in Spanish.
Yeah,
however you say it in Spanish.
No, but I mean but he's. Even with the hitting, I mean, his average is well over 300 since coming.
He's hitting. Yeah, he's hitting at least 300 since he's been here. I don't need ridiculous power. I need give me some extra bases, but he's driving in runs in big moments.
Well, but when he does hit for power, they're bombs. I mean, he has when he gets a hold of them, they go far.
They do.
I mean. He does not hit when he hits a home run. It's not usually a wall scraper. It's usually potentially a second deck home run. I mean, that one that we were just talking about at the top of the show here, the one that with the fight over the ball was it was in the second. It was way up there. So, no, he's been great. I love the energy he brings to the locker room. I think he's a great all around player. And you and I were talking. And we can get to this, obviously later on, maybe in the off season. But at this point, I'd be interested in bringing him back as a one. You said I think he has an option. Maybe I might elect the option if he goes for it.
Yeah, too, I saw it's a mutual option, so they both have to agree. But he's got to be guaranteed playing time, and I have some ideas for that.
I think I see a reality where that would make a lot of sense for both sides.
I agree.
And we can get into that. But anyway,
excellent.
I think that's a great pick. Great pick, Harrison Bader, because he was on my list too. So was Brandon Marsh, by the way. I had he has been, he's had some dips at times, but all in all, this is Brandon Marsh's best overall season with us as a hitter. I mean, it just, it is.
But before we get into some other topics, I wanted to mention Bader in general. I was going to say what the impact he's had on this team has been huge, and you just mentioned that. But let's lead into duds a little bit. I think we have a few options here.
Yeah. I have an offensive and a pitching one, I guess. I'm gonna go. I'm not going to go so far as to say Schwarber right now because yes, he's been Dudley, But the guy's having a season,
He
and
is.
when you have a season like that, you're going to have a cold streak. And this is his cold streak. Hopefully, he wakes up from it soon. He did, like we talked about in the Marlins series, he got some hits. He started putting the ball into play again, which is great. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets back to hitting home runs and swinging confidently. I think in the next week here, you're going to see him get back on track. That's my prediction. I don't think he's just going to go cold the rest of the way. My dud's Casty.
Okay. Yeah.
He's been picking up hits here and there, yes, but it's not as much the play on the field. It's more the approach and the attitude toward the situation that he's in now, which is to say a platoon. I think he's a little cocky sometimes.
Absolutely.
And there's no question the guy has talent. But this is a team, and the other guys have bought in, seemingly, to this platoon and this idea of, look, we're going to trust Topper to make the right decision for who should play. And I got to give Thompson credit. He has figured out this platoon. It seems to be working. Whatever decisions he makes seems to work, and in the outfield anyway.
The outfield.
Yeah, but I mean, the infield is pretty set most of the time. I think but the outfield was a puzzle for a lot of the season. But since Bader came here, Thompson seems to have figured out a formula that works. And Casty, the part of that solution is Casty not playing every day. And I get it. You've played for the last 2 seasons. You've played pretty much every game that you were eligible to play in. And I get that frustration. But, Thompson wants to win a World Series. All these guys do. And I'm sure Casty does too. But he wants to be playing all the time, and unfortunately, that's not where we are right
He
now.
hasn't had that hot streak.
Kepler, right? He hasn't. He had been consistently fine through most of the year until like the last month, where he cooled off. But he was not. You're right. He never went on a big streak, really, one way or the other, until recently went cold. But I don't know. I can't really give him. I can't really give him a ton of leeway on that because. In terms of the dud, because his at bats have gotten worse lately. In terms of he's known to swing at bad pitches. That's just a Castellanos thing. But he's the counts where he's swinging have gotten worse. It's like a 2-0 pitch, and you're swinging at a slider that's hitting the plate basically on the ground before it reaches. I don't know why is that where your eyes are? When you're at a 2-0 or 3-1 count, you know this as well as I do. You shrink the zone,
right?
You're not, you're looking for it. Yeah, exactly. You're looking for it in a very specific part of the strike zone, not just the strike zone, but your hot zone. And if it's not there, you're not swinging. Make the guy come back in the count and make pitches. But he's swinging at 2-0, 3-1 pitches that are not only are they not in his zone, they're not in even the zip code he's in. They're way out. And it's so I have to give that to him. And I'm going to give Taiwan the dud too. Yeah. He's really, the last 3 or 4 starts, I'm not liking what I'm seeing from him. It's a shame because we've given him his credit for a lot of this year. But as we progress here, I'm losing confidence in sort of his stuff. The splitter's not splitting, and he's losing a little velocity on the fastball, which was helping him early.
It's consistently the first inning for him over the last few starts. He's
early,
and he's doing a good job settling in after that. I'll give him that.
Right, but it digs you into a hole.
He's putting them in a hole. I mean, they can come. Yeah. They might come away with a win here and there when he does that, but today, unfortunately, he didn't. But he did settle in and somehow was able to throw 6 innings today.
Yeah.
Hey, that's impressive. You were able to get that. You saved the bullpen a little bit since we have a long stretch coming up here. But for my dud, I was actually going to give it to Kyle Schwarber. I mean,
That's fair. I thought about
over the last week. Ever since he hit the 4 home runs, he's been almost useless. It's tough. He can only be MVP for quality for there's certain points for him. He's been this out of this world player, and then he's at a low right now. He's not driving the ball. He's striking out more. He's still walking because that's what he does. He has a good eye, but he's swinging and missing. He's just getting pieces of
hittable
ball.
pitches.
Hittable pitches. He's fouling off. Because we've seen it happen to other guys where they're just not on it right now. He might need a day. That's not somebody you want to take out of the lineup because he's scary just to have in there.
Yeah. Well, and the walks in themselves are valuable because it's base runners and it's put and run. Yeah. So no, I get that, but no, I hear you, and I think to your point though, it could be a big problem if he doesn't find the stroke again, because if he's not hitting for power, this team's in trouble.
I'm not worried, honestly. I think it's just a rough patch.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. But
we know when he catches fire, he's top tier in the most dangerous hit bats in the league.
Oh yeah,
and we've seen it, and the Braves saw it, and it'll be a good test here at home against the Mets on these coming games. See if he can find that stroke again, especially against the Mets. So let's see what happens there. I have full confidence he'll be back at it. And he just 1 week of the year that you're a dud in my eyes works for me.
Right.
So
that's fair.
So after that, there's some good things that we can mention about this team, and there's some glaring bads. Pros and cons.
Yeah.
What do you see?
So for one of my pros anyway, I have a couple.
Yeah.
The top three starting pitchers. I'm very pleased with what I've seen overall. I mean, there's been some blips in there, certainly in the Mets series, but that was just kind of collective blah. Yeah. I'm not gonna. All in all, of late, especially since Wheeler went down, right? Really, since we knew Wheeler was done.
Win it for Wheels.
And looking at the totality of how those top three guys have pitched, and I'm talking about, for those who are wondering, if you're wondering, Sanchez, Ranger, and Luzardo right now, they have pitched very well. They've given the team, they've continued to, I should say, continue to give the team innings. Effective innings. They're doing their job, and right now, for me, it's no question going to the playoffs. I don't care about right, left, or any of that
all
stuff right now.
All lefty.
It's those three. Those are your three guys. It's an unusual thing. I don't know that I've ever seen that before in my time watching baseball. 3 lefties as your lead guys in a pitching rotation in the playoffs, but they are unquestionably your most reliable starting pitchers right now, and I don't think you play games with the whole matchup thing. That's because, to me, that's overthinking it. I'm not putting Walker in right now. I'm not putting Nola in now to start a game in the playoffs unless they absolutely, you know what I mean? Like those three guys are pitching effectively right now.
Yes,
Luzardo seems to have settled into what we saw at the very beginning. Yes, I mean, and he's not quite as dominant as he was, but he's what I had hoped for when we signed him or traded. You know what I mean? We got him. That's what he's pitching right now. What I had hoped for when he came out of the gate 5-0 or whatever it was. That was insane, and I think that was exceeding. It was like an adrenaline thing. What he's doing right now is exactly what we need him to do. Eat some innings. Keep guys off balance. Keep guys off base.
Yeah, that's about to say. He's keeping guys off base.
For him sometimes.
That's the big thing,
and that's a big thing for him.
Absolutely,
and I love it. So the three of them, they're doing a huge service to this team by pitching the way that they have, and if they can continue to do that down the stretch here in September and into October, this team's going to be in really good shape on the front end. And continuing with this, whole thing with pitching, the bullpen. I mean, they've been pretty good. Like, they had that one game against the Braves where. Alvarado and Orion, Alvarado gave up the home run and Orion wasn't sharp. But all in all, again, you're looking at the totality of the last handful of weeks. Since Duran has gotten here, it has just completely changed the dynamic of this bullpen because other guys, the pressure's off. They know they're not getting the ball in the ninth inning.
Set roles.
They know that that's his inning. Yes, and I think that helps guys a lot when they know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Strom's been better lately. Tanner Banks has been good all year,
yes.
and I mean he gave up a home run the other night, but that was kind of
junk time.
Whatever.
It was junk time.
It was, and I'm not gonna hold that against him. He has not failed us in big spots, and that's what counts.
Clutch.
And I mean, and Orion's had some iffy outings, but he's also looked great at times. And I think if he can find that consistency, that's going to be a big weapon. Romano's out of the bullpen right now. That's a big factor, right? But I mean that's a huge piece of it, right? Him not being there because he is he's not good. He's just not effective. So having him out and having these other guys fill in those spots where he would be in, that has helped. So I think we have one of the best bullpens in baseball right now. I think Dombrowski's moves at the deadline, just getting Duran and then shifting all that around, was a huge just change for this team. So I think I trust the bullpen right now. I really do. I feel really good about if we can get to the 6th, 7th inning with these guys. I feel great about our chances if we have a lead of winning a game. Again, starters, great. So yeah, those are my pros. I mean, the pitching is great right now, and I don't think we could really be in a much stronger spot, except maybe if Zach Wheeler were healthy. But other than that, I think we're in a great spot with pitching.
I can certainly agree there. However, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going on the offensive side. When we platoon this outfield, specifically with 3 guys that I'm looking at, there's a set lineup of 3 guys that are actually performing. And one of those names surprises me, or actually maybe you can say 2. When you have Brandon Marsh, Harrison Bader, and Max Kepler in the lineup, they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. They're hitting very well. They're all hovering, if not over 300. They're driving the ball out of the park. Brandon Marsh is showing power lately. And he's hitting the ball all over the place too. Max Kepler's swing is looking really good right now.
Kepler's power stroke looks good right now.
This is one of those moments where I said, put up or shut up. This is his moment where he's actually putting up, and I need him in this lineup right now. Because when he's making contact, he's hitting the ball hard and he's putting it out of the park and he's driving into the
gap. A lot of doubles too.
That's to say, he's putting it in the gaps.
Extra bases.
He's doing exactly what we signed him for. His average was 201 when they were facing the Orioles. I won't forget it. And ever since then, he's been nothing but
I think he's close to 220 now. I think he's brought it up almost 20 points.
At this point in the season, if you bring up your average that much, you're in a good spot. Who cares how low it was then? It's what are you doing for me lately, right? And right now he's doing plenty. So I'm very thrilled with the outfield when it's those 3. So they should keep the platoon, and no way on earth am I changing Bader or Marsh out. They're staying in this lineup every day.
Yeah, because Marsh is hitting lefties too. When he has at bats against them, he's just hitting the ball the other way. And he talked about it. I saw the interview after the game yesterday. He was like, he talked. I don't know if you saw the interview, but they were asking him what you really seem to have simplified things at the plate, and he's like, and it was one person. He's like, it was Stubbs when I was down in the minor leagues. He just talked to me. He was just like, hey man, just simplify things. And he's like, and when you look at it, when you think about it, ever since he came back from injury in May, when he was doing his rehab starts down there, he's been great. And Stubbs may not be the most effective player in terms of physical output, with results, but I think he thinks the game well, and a lot of catchers do. We've talked about that on here before. JT's one of the smartest players in the league, and Stubbs, a lot of catchers go on to be coaches, and you can kind of see that future for Stubbs potentially, because you just have to view the game differently from that position. It's just, you can't not view it differently. And I think that's great. That's a great thing to hear that organizationally these guys are looking out for one another like that. So I think that's great. And I just wanted to just add on to what you're talking about the platoon, and this kind of goes along with that, right? The bottom of the lineup. Yeah. As a pro,
Bryson Stott
over the last week and a half, Stott's been great. Marsh has been great. Sosa has been great when he has been in there. He's been putting the ball in play. We talked about it, and Kepler's been down there too. This is the kind of thing that can win a World Series, when you have your big guys coming up with big hits at big moments, but then you have the lower part of the lineup just getting on base, right? Just keeping innings going, giving those big guys those opportunities in the big spots. Because, if those things kind of come together, it's going to be hard to beat a team like the Phillies, because we've got the pitching. If the hitters can do what they did in that Brewers series, which is to say don't quit, keep putting pressure on the team, it's going to be tough to beat them. But it's a big if, right? Because of the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing. Are they going to show up and do that, or are they going to go to sleep? I really hope it's not the latter. I really hope they show up and they give us a magical playoff run this year. So
And then, that's what I have for pros. I think that's the biggest standout right now is those three guys.
Yeah.
And you can throw in Bryson Stott. He's hitting the ball everywhere and he's hitting the ball hard. I mean, there's moments where
yes, he is.
He's unfortunately not doing what he needs to do in that particular moment offensively, but we know the glove is a sure thing for the most part. He made one error in Milwaukee, but he's a Gold Glover, on the defensive side typically. But as far as cons go, the other two starting pitching, Walker and Nola, I'm seriously concerned about Aaron Nola. It's more like what in the world is going on with you? Like a Milwaukee team that you should still be able to handle. Yeah, they're good. You should be able to get one of the first five guys out. You're let up 5 runs in the first 5 batters. That can't happen, especially in the playoffs.
Nope.
There's something seriously
wrong. He's not going to see the mound in the playoffs at this rate. You can't.
At this point, I put it out there. I may have texted you about that. It's like, we cannot have him start a game in the playoffs. I know I exclaimed it loudly at home.
No, I got it through the text even.
He cannot start a playoff game. He shouldn't see the ball at all in the playoffs, and it's a serious concern, and it could be a reason to bring the team down a little bit. Like, it's going to come to a point where we're going to have to pick one of the two to start a game, most likely. And it would be Walker at this point, and you got to hope he's good for the first inning.
But the other one, and you mentioned this, I think when we were texting too. I don't think this is a long shot too, but they brought Walker Buehler in. He's not rehabbing, but he's doing his minor league start or two, I think, and then they're going to bring him in. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, it's one of those things where he had an abysmal failure with the Red Sox. I mean, he was awful with them, but I mean, he has been effective, right? He has been effective at the major league level as recently as 2 years ago in the playoffs.
He won the World Series for them. He was
right.
He closed the game out.
So I think it's not a bad move. I mean, it's no skin. I mean, the Phillies, what do they lose by trying this? It's just a kind of you don't lose much at all. If it works out, you've got, like you said, we just said, a guy who has had tremendous success in the playoffs fairly recently, and he's not an old guy. I think he's only 30 or 31. He's not super old. Like, he's still fairly young. So I think that's possible. I think that's a possible right-handed option. But we'll see how it goes. They still got 3 weeks left here in September. We'll see how things go. Maybe he gets a start or two here at the big league level before the season ends. And depending on how he looks, we'll see where they go. But I don't know if I said, but my con is the Jekyll and Hyde of the offense, particularly the big guns, the Harpers, the Schwarbers, the JTs, the guys that you need to hit the ball, get you boom. Schwarber, obviously, those, I might have said that already, but yeah, those guys, if they're going collectively cold, which we've seen far too much this year, you're not going to win baseball games, no matter how well the bottom of the lineup's performing. If those guys aren't driving the runs in, you're not going to win the games, and they've got to stop with that collective just sleepiness at the plate. Sometimes they are so fun to watch. Other times I just want to throw something at the TV. It's like, that's the con though. I've said, I sound like a broken record, but the inconsistency of the offense, particularly the big hitters, is the Achilles heel of this team. If they're not functioning, this team's not going anywhere. And we've seen it the last 2 years in the playoffs. Hopefully we don't this year, but anyway, that's just that's where I'm at with it. So
so the next thing I want to mention is specifically in regard to the platoon. Max Kepler had some comments about pretty much egos and attitudes. Like they all sat together or had a conversation about where they are, and like, hey, we have one common goal, and that's to win. It's to win the title. And they can absolutely do that if they're all on the same page. And it's like, put it aside. And I think all of this is a dig at Castellanos, and honestly, it's kind of deserved. Like, the guy's had the attitude problem all season. Like, he made comments when he was pulled from a game earlier in the season in Miami, and Kepler was explaining how Kepler was explaining how he had to sit for a little while, and you know what? He's worked his way out of it, and he's proving he belongs on this team. But
yeah.
What are your thoughts on what he said, and is it in regard to Castellanos in particular? I think yes.
I'm sure. I mean, my guess is the question was basically like, "Hey, Nick is kind of, he's not starting every day anymore, and you're looking at a platoon situation in the outfield now for all of you guys. How do you think he's taking it?" I'm assuming it was something along the lines of that, and he probably went into his own thing from there of like, "Yeah, well, I had to go through it too." I mean, I will say, I don't remember Max handling it all that well either.
Didn't.
I mean, there was some kind of shade he threw at Rob for that. So it's a little bit, for me, a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black there to a certain extent. But to Max's credit, he did work his way out of it, and then maybe that's him kind of saying, like, kind of to the point. Now, he didn't acknowledge, like, I didn't handle it the best. I kind of would have been, to me, the perfect response if he had said, "Look, I've been there before and I didn't handle it as well as I should have, but I now value that experience because it's forced me to, like, work my way back, and I'm hitting the ball well now. I feel good." And I think if he had approached it that way, I would have preferred it. But all in all, no, I don't think it was like he's trying to cause problems or throw shade at Nick. I think he's just kind of spelling out the reality of the situation of like, look, you gotta kind of do what's right for the team, and it's not really up to us to decide that stuff. It's the coach's job.
Right. Well, it's like, hey, Nick, be better when you're on the field, and be better when you're off the field. Like,
right. That's part of being on a team.
Be a teammate. Like, I saw people throwing it out there when Trey had his walk-off hit, like, and Casty scored the run. Like, it didn't seem like Casty was that excited. Like, that's
well, but then I did see later that, and to me that was when he first slid home. If you watched later on, like a minute or two later when they went out and he was there. So I don't think that's fair. I think he wants to win.
Yeah, me too.
But all of
there's
this
something
said, there is, and I do think that this relationship may have run its course between Nick and the Phillies. So
I agree.
We'll see what happens to close out the year, but in the offseason,
he's gone.
Unless Nick goes on a crazy hot streak here for the postseason, and he just is just on a Kyle Schwarber-esque, in terms of hitting just bombs every night or something, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be hard for me to see not trying to deal him in the offseason, and try to shake things up a little bit, because I just, I don't think he's like a cancer in the locker room, because I think the guys like him. I do. But like you said, there's something off there. And I think it started last year a little bit with like the trade rumors. I don't think he loved that. And now the on-field things of like, well, no, we're pulling you for defense or whatever. He's starting to, there's a little bit of immaturity there. And I could see this season being his last, potentially, depending on how the front office decides to proceed.
Yeah, during the games, I'm mentioning it to Noah and Ashley specifically. Like, I don't see him in a Phillies uniform next year at all. He shouldn't be at this point. I know we still got another year on this contract, but they should be doing everything they can to move him. It's going to be, they're probably going to have to eat some money and just only take a prospect or two. I don't know what they're going to get back, but we'll see what happens. But with all this said, and we have two other great players, it seems, in the outfield in regard to Harrison Bader, who's been absolutely excellent, and I'm thrilled with what he's provided this team. He's had a huge impact, and they're winning games because of him at some points. But I have to give these flowers to Brandon Marsh. I know I've been tough. I might have been the toughest person that on Brandon Marsh. It's like, I even told you I was tired and done with him, but then he got hurt, and then he came back, and then he's been a completely different player. I mentioned that Bader's one of the reasons why they're winning games, and Brandon Marsh might be the reason why they're winning all of these games at this point. It's like he's every big moment he's coming through. He's not striking out looking at a pitch that's right down at his knees. He's not swinging at a high fastball. He's finding his pitch and he's driving it.
Yeah, it's the simplification stuff that you talked about. I mean, whatever Stubbs said to him, it got him to stop it, and he's what he keeps talking about. I'm not overthinking it. I'm keeping it simple. And baseball can be a very simple game if you let it be.
And to top it off, he plays an excellent left field. I don't need him in center field anymore.
He's a great corner outfielder. He's an average center fielder. He's a great corner outfielder because he's not as much ground to cover.
Less ground.
And his issue, which we've talked about, is catching the ball on the run. When he settles under the ball, he doesn't drop the ball, but it's catching the ball in stride that he has struggled with. And in center field, that's what you're doing half the time.
That is a really darn good defensive combination when you have Marsh and Bader in center and Kepler
and right. Kepler's even better in right than he is in left.
Yeah,
he's been better defensively.
And he even hits better when he's in right.
That makes sense.
That's just weird.
Well, but that could be a comfort thing. He's played right field for the past 10 years. I mean, it could be a big change for him. So I think there's something to that too. But I agree with you. I mean, I was never as down on Brandon Marsh as you, but I acknowledged his shortcomings for sure, and I'm glad to see that he's figured it out because he's a great guy. He's a guy you want to root for. He's a guy that I think is good for the clubhouse, and teammates like playing for him. The city loves him, and my daughter Emerson loves him too. So
he's earned his spot, and I'm proud of it. I'm very happy with what he's provided, especially recently, because I'm not like sullen and sad when he's coming up to the plate. I'm excited watching him hit right now. Like he's locked, and I hope he can hold this the rest of the year. Hopefully, in his case, the rest of his career. Something like that he continues to hit like this, and you might see it.
I have a question for you though.
Oh God.
No, ahead. So with Trey being injured right now, we don't know anything other than that it's a right hamstring. Right. That he's dealing with. He's getting an MRI tomorrow, which is to say Monday because we're recording Sunday night. And, him, if he's out for a length of time, and this could be a 6-week injury. I mean, these things can be 6 weeks. If it is, that's a huge problem for this team. I don't want to be, doom and gloom about it because it doesn't end our season, but it makes things a lot more difficult. And I will say this right now, emphatically, I do not want to see Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot. I do not want to see it.
Neither do I.
It's not a spot for him. The team has been better with him not there overall. You can't argue with it. The team overall has performed better, more consistently anyway, with him not in the leadoff spot. And he has been individually better not in the leadoff spot as far as home runs and RBIs and that sort of thing.
Definitely.
Walks are kind of where they always are. But my question to you is, if Trey's out for a significant amount of time, we're going to see Edmundo in his position defensively. Right. But who leads off? Who should lead off if he's out for a month?
I want to go back to Stott. I really do. The way he's been swinging the bat, he's great in that 9-hole. He's actually really good in that 9-hole. But I don't know if Brandon Marsh is that spot guy.
And that's what I thought. I had the exact. Our brains work so similarly when it comes to lineups. I swear, because my first thought went to Stott as well. But we tried that experiment earlier in the year, and he had some success, but overall it wasn't working. And then I went to where you went to also, which is the 9 spot. He's been fantastic. Yeah. I don't want to disrupt that. I kind of want to just leave that alone. So he's sort of the second leadoff guy, basically. Anytime, once you get through the lineup the first time, he's essentially kind of in that second leadoff spot. And I like him there. And I don't know that I want to mess with that.
Then I'm throwing another name out there.
Yes, I went to. Okay, go ahead.
Harrison Bader.
Yeah, same. We have had the same thoughts because I did the same thing. I thought about, okay, I don't want to do that with Stott. What about Marsh or Bader? Because, I think they're both hitting the ball well right now. And I think they could keep doing that anywhere. They've kind of bumped around into various spots in the lineup. Not hugely different, but kind of in the middle of that lineup, in the bottom, just up and down a little bit, depending on the matchups or whatever. Rob's kind of put them in anywhere from 5 through 7 or 8, basically. So I could see a scenario, depending on if it's a right-handed pitcher, maybe you start Marsh at the leadoff, or if it's a left-handed pitcher, Maybe you start Bader in the leadoff spot. Just kind of get a feel for how they do there. But that's where I'm at, because I don't see anyone else there. I don't want Schwarber there. You're not. I swear to God, if he puts Harper there, I'm going to lose it. I hate seeing Harper up above the 2 spot. He's a 3-hole hitter, and we've talked about that ad nauseum on here.
Yeah.
JT, I could see maybe sliding into a 2 spot in a certain scenario, depending on how he's hitting the ball, but not lead off. And I hate having him at cleanup, frankly, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Right now, our cleanup hitter hits 2, but that's another thing.
Right.
We'll see what happens. I think Trey's going to miss a game at least. Even if he comes out perfectly fine on Monday, I think he's going to miss Monday's game. We'll see. I'm going to expect Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot for a couple days.
Me too.
But
unfortunately,
you and I both agree that you should try somebody else there, because we need somebody to produce runs in Kyle Schwarber's spot. I don't need to lead off a game 1-0 when you could make it 3-0 in a blink of an eye.
But you know what, though? Rob might, because those guys are hitting well, he might try one up there. Marsh or Bader. He might do that, because Rob's not opposed to that. I think he is willing to try things in situations like that, but he also knows Schwarber has done it before. The problem is, though, if you put Schwarber at 1, someone's got to bat 2 or 3. Then you're really shifting things around, and Bohm has not been all that great lately.
No,
so
he
having
has
him
not.
up toward the front of the lineup isn't a great idea. So I think you got to take one of those guys and put him up at the top of the lineup, whether it's 1 or 2.
I wasn't thrilled with Bohm hitting 2 the other day. So, like, you drop him, he's at 8, and then he's going to 2, and especially when he's not swinging a good bat. Why are you giving him more chances? I don't think he needed them. But we'll see what happens this week. We had a lot to talk about tonight. So we're sorry, folks. We're skipping guessing. Yeah, we're skipping guess that Philly tonight, since we had a decent amount to talk about. But this will return, it will, as it is my favorite segment. So Brent, why don't you round us out? Give us those socials.
All right. So if you all would like to listen to us, and we hope you do, you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to watch us, you can watch us on YouTube at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast. And if you want to follow us on social media, we can be found on Facebook at Phillies Unfiltered Podcast, Instagram at Phillies Unfiltered, and Twitter /X at Funfiltered, PHUNPHILTERED. Thank you all.
Thank you.
For joining us this week for this big recap of everything.
Yes.
And
just a few weeks left, guys.
We hope to go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, just a few weeks left.
Go
ahead.
No, a few weeks left of the season for sure. And my wife is going to be at the game this week. I think it's Wednesday night. She's going to be at the Mets game that night. I'm not able to go. I have soccer practice. I'll be doing that. But my wife is going with a friend of ours. Actually, Jim knows him, Cameron. He and Bridget are going to the game. And so they will be there, keeping their eyes on things for us.
Bring us some luck.
And reporting back.
Yes, please.
But yeah, so this is a big series coming up against the Mets.
So I'm looking forward to doing some damage. Let's go. All right. So
let's do
thanks,
it.
guys. We look forward to talking to you again next week. And as always, go Phils.
All right. Take care, everybody.
See ya.